Thank you very much. So let me begin by saying thank you so much for joining us at this session today. I am Riddhi Malik and I will be moderator for this session. And I am so excited to see everyone here today. And let me begin by saying that we all have been a part of such discussions thanks to COVID, but I have not seen such an esteemed panel across so much of various industries together. Right. So I've seen pharma, I have BFSI today, and I look forward to having a very interesting discussion. So I'm just going to take a quick 2 minutes to kind of set a perspective for this session. And what we are discussing today is talent agility, which is something that has been a piece of contention and a place which is making all the HR leaders lose their sleep over how to have a talent agile workforce. So let me just, Vijay, can you give me the screen sharing rights, please? Perfect, thank you. All right. I think it is not anything that we have learned because of COVID, but businesses were always been on revenue. What is the value that each one of us bring to the business that we build or we are involved into? A business strategy that works along with organizational capacity, whether it is a culmination of leadership and culture, people and performance, all of these pillars somewhere come together and contribute towards customer delight. Because I think as HR leaders, you would definitely agree with me that only with a delightful customer is when an organization can reap benefits and create a brand for itself in the external environment. So if I can rightly say, it's always been an employee and his ability to contribute to a business, whether agile or not, is what drives a business. In my mind, I'll also give you a short story. In my mind, whenever I hear the word agile, for some reason, I always think of a leopard. Why? Because the beauty, the assurance, the confidence with which a leopard walks in a jungle, knowing that it's a predator, is beautiful by itself. And the short story that I wanted to tell you is, I actually have been brought up all over the country, and I spent my senior high school in a beautiful state in our country in Assam. So my house actually was sharing the wall with tea estates. So every room from my house used to overlook a tea estate because my father used to serve as a scientist in ONGC. And you won't believe that there were trees that were coming from the tree gardens into the society. And often, very often, we used to have leopards in our back garden. Can you believe such a beautiful scene? You wake up in the morning and used to have a leopard. The leopard knew that we are humans and we can actually have the ability to harm him. But his confidence of knowing and the power that he can overcome any issues was a beauty by itself. So I think that's the same confidence that we are looking today in the workforce. They need to be creative and experimentative. They need to be a self-starter and motivated. They need to be innovative. Can they become a force that can drive change in an organization? Do they have the power to stretch boundaries? Are they adaptive to anything that an organization or the external environment is throwing at them? That's how I think we are defining our agile workforce today. This is a problem, a future roadmap that HR needs to deal with. What kind of workforce models will evolve now? Are we looking at a full-time career workforce only? Are we looking at extremely flexible, talented workforce? How are we going to ensure that they stay with us? What kind of employment models are we going to roll out? Because I don't think we are at, we are at a brink where I don't think the traditional part-time, full-time careers is going to sustain an organization. There will need to be a diversity of the workforce, not only across cultures, but what kind of workforce are we bringing to the table? Are we picking extreme talented workforce who work with us on project to project basis? do we have the power to bring all such diverse workforce together to enable an agile workforce? Do we have the systems in place to make this happen in an organization? Pillars of talent agility. I think talent agility at its very core has the power to bring all these four pillars together: the technology, the people, the systems, and the processes. When these four pillars combine together, only then can we have an extremely agile workforce in an extremely hybrid environment. I think at this point of time, and I think if I even say something, I'll only be repeating what everyone in the world has realized today. HR has become the force to be reckoned with. It is HR that today drives the business. The company has never needed or recognized the value of HR as businesses do today across the nation, across the globe. How do you prepare if you cannot predict what the disruption will be? How do we ensure that we are ready for the unforeseen? We bring in partners, we bring in processes, we bring in pillars that makes us stronger. I honestly don't think that it is a question anymore on whether an organization is proactive or is it reactive. I honestly don't believe that we have that choice anymore. We have to be proactive because, as I said previously, we do not know what we are going to deal with. So until we are proactive, it's going to all fall apart. The good news is that any organization is not alone. Everyone in their own capacity is dealing with this uncertainty across the globe. Every organization has realized that something needs to get changed in the organization. What everyone has not realized or is continuously evaluating and dealing with is what it is that need to change. I know it needs to change, but what in my organization? Who we are? As I said, when you are uncertain, how do you pad yourself up? How do you protect yourself up? By drawing concentric circles around you, circles that are stronger, which protect your core as an organization. You surround yourself with good people. You surround yourself with good partners. You surround yourself with technology. You surround yourself with people of faith who you know would be there with you through thick and thin. So who we are just one of those circles around you. We are your technology partners. As an organization, SumTotal is 35 years old in this industry and is known to serve more than 45 million end users worldwide. We currently serve in 160 countries and in 31 languages. We are trusted by organizations across the globe, across the industries. As I said, we are one of those circles that you can trust will be there to help you build the organization, will be there when you decide to become agile. We are partners. So what do we do for the organization? We are there when an employee joins the organization on day one. We help the HR leaders attract and recruit. We help HR leaders onboard and develop. We help HR leaders engage and retain the workforce, which today I think is the biggest challenge because social distancing has not been helping. New creative ways on how to keep the workforce engaged, even in the daily task, has become, I think, the biggest challenge. How do we engage an employee to transition and grow by helping him upskill in and grow? And lastly, if we motivate him to learn, become agile and engage, we need to perform and reward. Upskilling is the new reality. And that's what is the context today. How are we going to do it? What are the pillars that we want to see? And it will be great if I can have the esteemed panelists share their experiences with me. Thank you. So I would start with you, Sakshi ma'am. Ladies first, I guess.
Thanks, Riddhi. That was a very relevant perspective that you brought in front of us. After the sudden disruption that we saw in the beginning of last year, right now is the time when the disruption has sunk in and we need to move on from here. Here we have two options. When we think of agile, we can either create effectiveness and efficiencies while having a plan in mind to make it sustainable. And the second is that for looking at the benefits of manpower costs, as well as the optimization that we have established in the work from home scenario, we continue to reap the benefits of this optimization. However, if there is not a plan to solidify the agile strategy that we have in place, we definitely are going to fall down. So we as the HR team across the industries need to be very cognizant of what our strategies and plans are going to be and how they are going to be sustainable for a longer period of time. So all of our strategies and processes need to be scalable, and any changes that we have will need to be based here.
Absolutely. Very relevant. Thank you, ma'am. Devdutt sir, if I can pick your brain, considering Yes Bank is one of the largest banks that we have today, and you have a massive, massive workforce. So how are you dealing with this?
So, one of the things which interestingly has been taught by this COVID is that the employees are far more agile than organizations.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that.
Okay. So, if you ask me, the challenge for the future, and, not only talking about Yes Bank, but organizations in general, I'd like to just sum it up in 3-4 points. Okay.
Sure.
What is it that really needs to change? Of course, employees are at the receiving end, or so to see, the epicenter of everything. But, some of the things we need to address are very basic. Let me start with a word which, people will hear on this show and say, my God, we are going back to B school or something. We have a very big trap in the organization called the job description. Now, the same job description, which we are so familiar with, will actually have to be completely dismantled. Okay, employment contract, it will have to be dismantled. So the other day I was talking to some of our digital people, and I'll just give you an example. Earlier, if you were supposed to buy food from a good restaurant near 10 years back, no Swiggy, no Amazon, no nothing. The entire eating experience was one unbroken thing. You went to the restaurant town, you were served, you ate, you paid, and you left. Okay.
Right.
And nobody really thought anything different about it. But today, if you look at the Swiggy example, it's totally disaggregated, and then it is aggregated at a different level. So what I mean is that, now suddenly placing an order is not the restaurant's core activity. Receiving the order, somebody else is doing. Preparing, of course, the food they will prepare. Delivery is done by somebody else. Payment is done by a payment gateway. Right. A simple thing like ordering food from a restaurant has been broken into maybe 5 or 6 blocks.
Steps. Yes.
If you just apply this to employment and jobs, maybe it's a little drastic at this point of time. But I think this is where we are going, because you did mention about part-time and, that kind of the gig economy.
The models, the workforce.
Yeah. Yes. So if you ask me, one is to talk a little bit about incremental change today, which is fine. But I think, if we want to really be agile as an organization and be geared up for tomorrow, we have to work with a mindset that somewhere, the Swiggy model is going to be applied to jobs, which means, it requires 2 things to be focused on. One is that we'll have to do a very deep dive into tasks in the organization. Today, what happens is, if I say, okay, I'm employing Riddhi, then I kind of say, okay, these are the set of tasks which need to be done. I think Riddhi has most of these competencies, skills, knowledge. We will marry the 2, and somewhere something will happen. And, by luck or by whatever good fortune, 70-80% of the time, things do happen. But, if you have to go on the new model, we will have to really deep dive and cut and dice and slice the job. And then tomorrow you could actually employ people for bits and pieces of the job. Right.
Echoing with what I said, Devdutt sir, if I may say so, that it's a project skill-based workforce, which will evolve, right?
And then the last piece here is, of course, what you mentioned, the stitching up of all of this as we have seen in the, the e-commerce as well as the Swiggies of the world, the stitching of it is through technology, seamless experience.
Absolutely.
The last thing I just want to mention is that, our thoughts about loyalty, engagement, etc. These fundamentals will also have to change. If you ask me, what will have to perhaps, if I may suggest, instead of employer branding, if we can say, we have to create an employer purpose, because these, you can say disaggregated employee talent, they will probably like to be associated with a purpose and a cause, rather than just an employer brand, because employer brand has a lot to do with the workplace and so on and so forth, which may actually not be available in the future.
Sure. Agree. So moving on, Sanjay sir and Vijay sir, since you both represent the pharma, and I think pharma is a sector which has mostly dealt the pressure of the unknown, right? What is the unknown? What are we really dealing with? Is the workforce ready to respond? Because I think when we all were shut down, it was the pharma that was working. So would you want to share your experience? How did you make that happen?
Yeah, Riddhi, thank you very much. Basically, it was, I would like to congratulate entire pharma industry to this forum. And because, it is the pharma employees who have braved pandemic. Okay, it was not easy for anyone to think about going out, working 8 hours, 12 hours kind of a thing. Government came up with 12 hours work week, 12 hours a day week kind of a thing, basically. And then, it was very difficult challenges, and, again, to support the entire ecosystem in terms of healthcare, giving support to the healthcare workers and providing medicines, COVID medicines, other element medicines, and also pharma industry with Mr. Dixit will agree with me that, we have been at the forefront. Motivating people to come and work was a huge challenge. Okay. And again, we need to put hygiene infrastructure in place. So, the kind of protocols we need to set. So we had set those protocols. Even in my company and even in other pharma companies also, we have been, you can say, following those protocols ruthlessly. That's the reason we stayed was COVID-free, and then we were able to drive the business also through a lot of engagement. There used to be, you can say, kind of a continual dialogues of teams. Day in, day out. It was a mere kind of the start of the lockdown. It was a mere, you can say, for the sake of saying it was lockdown or it was work from home, but it was never a work from home for entire pharma industry. And I really salute all my teammates across entire pharma spectrum that they have braved and they rose to the occasion and they made it happen, as a result of which you can see, like medicines like Remdesivir, Favipiravir coming to the market and all being distributed, and so many COVID patients, recovering also. So that's what this one. And then again, it was initially, Mr. Dixit will agree with me that it was a huge challenge to bring people to workplace.
Absolutely. Okay, so Dixit sir, so Dixit sir, on that cue, since Vijay sir said, and I completely agree with him, a very tough time for pharma, very protocol-centered, oriented industry. And today we are talking about different work models, agile models. How are you going to marry these two?
So to begin with, I'm feeling very honored to share the dais with Mr. Kurne. He is my guru in Symbiosis. So it's the 97 batch. I passed out and he used to teach us the human resource management, and I can see the same passion he still carry. The way he was sharing about the entire paradigm shift which is going to happen in terms of Swiggy model, in the way we will design the job and the roles in the organization. Now, coming to the entire piece of agility in pharma industry or in general, I think what is the key objective of agility? The key objective of agility is ensuring that your human capital is productive.
Right.
As simple as that. If you have to not get into the semantics, So for us, in order to ensure that all our manpower or team members across the plant, across the corporate offices are productive, we ensure that the entire ecosystem of the environment which is given is very, very safe and secure, just to give them confidence that if they come back to the work area, they are not in a very some kind of an unsafe zone. While they've been driven by the entire motivation that they are doing a larger what you call contribution to the entire mankind in terms of providing a kind of a solution or the service which can ensure that we have a better what you call coming out of this entire pandemic. So for us, the agility is defined in a very, very simple manner in terms of the responsiveness, the behaviors associated with speed and accuracy. So how quickly you're attending to the problem and the issues, whether it is operational, whether it is, I will say, strategic, and how accurate you are, first time right. And I think these are some of the tenets which is now further going to get reinforced. And I'm just taking one pointer from the what Mr. Kurne said, and also from your slide about the culture and the leadership. And I'm a very, very key student, or I will say exponent of culture. And if you see in the background, that's my book on culture called Plan C. That do we have developed a Plan C wherein we create an ecosystem which inspire passion and commitment from all our workforce to deliver the goods. And this hybrid model is already done to death in IT industry. So I think if we have to learn some of the key insights from IT industry, we can definitely leverage it. But I think going forward, there are a lot of paradigm which is going to change, as Mr. Kurne also mentioned, is primarily the entire of the fitment of talent in the organization. And the fitment will not base in the culture. It will be more on in terms of how contrarian you are to the culture of the organization, in terms of bringing innovation, in terms of bringing challenging to the status quo, in terms of the culture fitment will no longer be the tenets of hiring. We will be looking more of how contrary you are to the culture, so that you bring a lot of challenge to the status quo into the organization. And also in terms of, as I said, how culture become the core part of your strategy. Rather than strategy impacting your culture, you now know how to do it reverse. Making culture impacting your strategy, which has been the convention of the last century, of having a plan A and plan B model of having a strategy and execute it, and you will get the result. That's not going to work anymore.
Agree. So, Pranav sir, do you think technology can build a culture in today's environment?
Dr. Sanjeev did mention that this kind of an arrangement is already working in the IT companies. Though I'm now working within healthcare industry, my previous background comes in from the IT industry. So that particular experience did help us manage those things out here, right? So primarily, if you look in the pharmas, the bankings, the healthcare, no one would ever imagine that you would be working from home, virtually, doing the meetings, right? So that was a kind of a mindset. So there are two parts to it. One is the mindset of an individuals who have to think differently, right? If you are someone who has been into a system for 10 plus years, it's kind of difficult to accept that change. But thanks to this pandemic, I have always said that, yes, there have been a setback for the humanity, but this has been a great learner for almost every one of us, right? So accepting things that we could have never imagined. So this pandemic has helped us do that. So now coming to how technology helps us. So technology, if you're working virtually, right, or you want folks to be working part-time, that's how you'll have to manage. I was surprised from of the fact that even hospitals, the billing desks, the call centers, they had also worked virtually from home. So for us to limit the context, we had help, and this was a challenge for us, starting from the security, the infrastructures at home. Making sure that in today's days, the patient data is pretty critical, be it for any sector, BFSI, pharma, healthcare, even in IT. So making sure that there is no data leakages. So IT provides that backbone, or probably provides that platform for us to proceed further. So that is how we need to make sure that the change management, the infrastructures that we would be requiring, and the adaptability of each individual has to go hand in hand if we have to grow towards the agile workforce.
Sure. Great. Thank you so much. So Pranab sir, coming on to you, we have seen that we all were into some kind of a traditional model, and COVID has just kind of created a hurricanes for us. We all have realized there is a talent gap in the organization. So would you want to share your thoughts on, is there a way you have started to working on how to measure that talent gap so that you're ready for the next phase?
Okay, thank you. It was a great listening to each one of you. I think when the pandemic hit, we are left with only two, whether you sink or swim. So this was the option which was left with each individual. And I being heading the global IT for WORKHARD, we always had a question that when we are switching the button to work from home or work from anywhere, how technology would do the job, but how people without complaining will align to the whole change. And it was a disaster setup, or in IT we talk about disaster recovery setup, when everything goes with my hardware crashes, all the connectivity because of some kind of earthquake or some kind of attack, and I need to activate my secondary setup. Is exactly happened. It's a business continuity plan which got triggered, and it triggered to a scale where nobody imagined, nobody was prepared, nobody had planned, nobody had this arms ammunition ready for it. But it was very interesting to see how there is an agility in each of the employee. When such kind of things happen, everybody started, they thought, and it was because they felt that my job may be at risk, my job may be at stake if I don't perform, and so on and so forth. Everybody started coming to only one goal, that we need to keep the business continuity on. And we being from pharma, WORKHARD, and hospitals, we were on the top that we need to deliver. It's not that, and that's where technology played a very, very critical role of not only connected people, but connected machines. So both could be, we could do a lot of things remotely, we could monitor. And since in pharma, we have a 3-axis kind of control: A, patient safety; B, data integrity; C, quality. So when you are completely changing or shifting the working culture, working approach, maintaining the regulatory from in presence to phygital, is it going to give you a same quality, same data integrity, and increase patient safety? That was always something which we had. And then as a first step, as just answer your question, we with the use of technology, with use of instant training, so many training. We are already on a learning management solution. We had so many sessions to do a learning management, use our LMS so widely to ensure that everybody gets on the board quickly, gets trained, get to know how to work from home, how to get connected, and so on and so forth. So with this, we immediately started working. This is one of the things and we first evaluated how did our paper-based plan of business continuity, also called SOP, stood the test of the pandemic.
Test
test of time. And it is, and we found it's not 100%. We also faltered somewhere. And then we said, okay, so then we should do something, we should improve on that. The first thing which we did is we told the third party to please review where we are. It is, we might look at a lens from where we are. We may say we are still okay, everything is done, we will be still better, and we still meet. So we voluntarily, as head of IT, I said, let us look at the whole process and see whether though we were reactive, how can we maybe more prepared, more reactive, more proactive, and so on and so forth. So we definitely got and this was in fact applauded by board of directors, that we took this, positive steps towards it. Both from the, and because this was very important, not only from the people agility, because the moment people say that I need to work, they start asking, this is working, this, and open this for me, and cyber security was one of the big issue. And we, being a research-based organization, manufacturing, we can't take a risk of just opening the port or opening the connectivity as and when it is. So all this, because one side you may say that you are connected and you may celebrate, no, my card is fully connected. One side celebration, other side it may be funeral if we are being attacked. So we were very, very clear from the perspective. You need to bring a balance between flexibility and the cyber security. So just to conclude the question, yes, we revisited. We had a lot of procedure which got reconnected, and now we are thinking that can we continue the working from home as a protocol. So even when why this thought came up, came because all employee exhibited this confidence, management received that confidence, and I'm sure, and that has opened the talent to be acquired, where, because for us, definition of agility is very clear. Do we get the required skill when I need it? It is horses for courses. Do I have it? Not. And and then today, because there's so much talent, crowdsourcing is available, and we have aligned or acclimatized to the working from home, I can always source those the talent, and we started doing this crowdsourcing. We started taking a lot of people who can come just like horses for courses when I need them, and then not a non-retainer basis. So we created a mixed organization today, and with this, what has happened is even other employees, they started saying that yes, if in my absence things can go ahead, as rightly said, job description has become a canvas now. It is no longer the protocol. So that's how we have been tackling. It's a people, process, and technology has been a predominantly it become a nervous system. And today, everybody is an IT savvy in our organization. So that's what we are.
Great. Thank you so much. And I could see Vijay and Sanjeev sir smiling when you said data security for pharma. So I think that's a good topic for another session, because I could feel their pain when you said that we had to kind of be very conducive of what are we experimenting with. So Sakshi ma'am, I'll come back to you again, because I always feel that women in general have higher EQ. So given the today's scenario that we have millennials and we have multi-generations in the organization, that was, I think, a topic that HR leaders were struggling with pre-COVID, and then COVID has added this whole agile workforce and hybrid models. How are we bringing all these two structures together? Because the first one has not disappeared, right? It's still there. You have different generations. You have millennial population, and now you have these agile workforces and social distancing. So how do you bring them together socially? So
that's a great point that you have highlighted, Riddhi, that the diversity which at the workplace, that we always had a challenge to create a more inclusive workspace to provide an equal opportunity and a great experience for each and everyone. That has added with the gig workforce coming into place. And now, since there are no limitations to our talent in terms of geography, I can be sitting here and working with somebody in the US till the work gets done. But I have to be very cognizant of prioritizing and emphasizing the facts of making sure that the other person is also on board. So these are small nuances which will build up to create a culture that can be a workplace where people want to work irrespective of geographies and backgrounds, and take all of the leverage all of the possibilities of the gig economy together, and a workforce which is a little rigid in the mindset will lose out on that opportunity. One of the panelists very rightly said there is a difference that would be created from the mindset. And thanks to COVID, fortunately for the industry, to us, apart from the damage that it has done, it has definitely able to break mindset limitations. And we now know that there are so many possibilities which we never thought of. So this change in the mindset is something that can help organizations to move fast, to be agile in the truest sense of the word.
Thank you. So, Dedas, I'll come back to you again, and the same thing. The social, after all, we are very social, right? And all of us somewhere have had this emotional pressure as an employee, as a member of the family. How are we going to use technology to bridge this gap for the coming generations with the agile workforces, right?
So, as many people cited the experience in COVID, this COVID, while it's very unfortunate, and we are still struggling against it, but it actually gave a kind of a lab situation to try out things, in a very fast mode. So this entire business, for example, of how do you connect to employees, this very hackneyed use of the word engagement, suddenly it took on a very different meaning. Because till now, you said the employee is in front of you, then you can engage with him. But now he or she is at home. So we had to actually devise a lot of initiatives where we reached out to, the employees. And one of the things which stood us very well was direct outreach to the families of employees. So we actually scheduled sessions on Saturdays or, sometimes Sunday mornings, which were more informal in nature. And one of the things which we did in that was to actually thank the family, because till now, if you brought your kid to the office, your family was intruding in your office. But today, work from home, the whole organization is intruding into your home. So, it's time to acknowledge that parents, spouses, all the kind of, and then the use of technology, I think to showcase talent and so on and so forth. Simple thing that we had a COVID case reporting kind of a software that, whenever, see banks like pharma, somebody mentioned, banks were also working throughout the COVID and providing the services. So if somebody is, unfortunately detected with COVID, how do you make sure that help reaches that family as soon as possible?
Right.
The point I'm trying to make is, in this whole, even post-COVID, one thought which is coming to my mind is, we always talk about organizations which are very agile, very entrepreneurial, etc., etc. Many adjectives are used about organizations. But I think this has proved that one new adjective will probably come into the dictionary of HR, and which actually, if applied very properly, can have far-reaching impact. I think what we should see is the birth of a compassionate organization.
Wow, agree.
If you ask me, that goes beyond caring.
Yes.
So caring has still got a little transactional kind of a thing about it. But a compassionate organization, and it was shown, in times of COVID, how people help different parts of the economy, different professions, the medical profession, etc., etc. The whole business of helping people. So if that can become one of the philosophies of an organization, I'm not saying it should become philanthropic and it becomes a very soft organization. I don't mean any of that. But I think compassion as a kind of a value would be very important to stitch together.
Absolutely. 100% agree. So I think as in all of us have become more accepting of ourselves, of our colleagues, of the challenges that they face day to day. And in the interest of time, I'm going to ask Sanjeev sir, two things, sir, that you think would drive a hybrid organization, and the same for Pranav sir and Vijay sir. Two things that you think would drive a hybrid organization.
If I have to emphasize those two things, would be which is universally what you call relevant. Okay. Number one would be the emphasis on creating a empathy-oriented culture. The culture is the key. And I think, again, basis the research, it is found that all the companies which struggle during this COVID pandemic are the companies which has always believe in executing the strategy and having a great risk management plan. They never had a culture as core of their, as I said, agenda. And culture, if I have to define in a very, very simple manner, I think it is a very overhyped word, is the behavior demonstrated by the most influential people in the organization or any entity.
Absolutely.
And those most influential people we know who those are. So CEOs to CXOs to the senior management. And number two would be the fundamentals of revisiting our. You talk about leopard. I always believe the most agile animal is human, because by design it is called human being.
Right.
The being means we are in a continuous state of evolution and a transformation. Being is used in present continuous in English grammar.
Agree. Absolutely.
So I think we need to keep revisiting this particular philosophy of we are being. We need to continue to reinvent ourselves. We need to keep reflecting, keep introspecting. And this is the only way by which we will remain high touch in a high tech environment.
Absolutely. Vijay sir, your thoughts on this? Two things that will drive agile workforce.
Yeah. It's going to be better use of technology. COVID has taught us technology basically. Okay. We never really knew what technology is all about, everything. So let it be Zoom, whether it's a Microsoft SharePoint, Teams, or whatever. Everybody knows it now basically. So better use of technology to engage with the teams. Okay. Wherever we are basically, we are talking about hybrid workforce. Okay. Spread over across the entire spectrum. So that is one thing. And then what I strongly feel that as a HR leaders, we should give our time. We should give our time and energy to the workforce who is scattered all over. Okay. So, again, one more, if permitted, I would like to add that, we should work on some initiatives. We can give them appreciation, recognition, because, nowadays, it's very difficult scenario basically. So people, a small thank you note written by a chairman of the group or HR head and then pasted on the dashboard of the person who is almost 1,000 kilometers away kind of thing or something like that. So, I would strongly advocate the better use of a technology, because with technology, I think we can create wonders. And again, training our frontline managers to, give the appreciation, recognize the people with the
right. Absolutely. Sure. Pranav sir, your thoughts on this?
For me, I think I would, rather than maybe, I would say two things would be to enable, would be around the enabling this culture. So one would be the overall security of our infrastructure in the network, right? So there has to be a secure tunnel when the my folks are working between the office network as well as when they're working from home, right? So it has to be a secure tunnel so that there is no data theft, there is no droppage in the networks, the speed of the work should not get impacted. That's number one.
Right.
And quickly, number two would be enabling them to be in a better, probably helping them to do something really fast, right? So if primarily it has always been a pen and a paper, I need to have those templates ready, right? So that they don't have to spend that extra time. So if I'm expecting them to work at a 80% efficiency, then it's my responsibility as a employer to give them those instruments,
those
tools, right? So where I may require data analytics, I may require artificial intelligence. So that's where we'll be needing those.
Perfect. I'll just close the session. I'm going to summarize that we are ready as leaders, as HR leaders, to have a talent agility in a hybrid workplace. We definitely, Deodat sir, I really love the word compassion. I think compassion is a universe, more accepting. So compassionate organizations empathy, cultural, and this constant need to reinvent ourselves and become inspirational leaders, because it's always the leaders that set a stone, a pattern for the others to follow, is what is the need of the hour. I would like to thank all my panelists for this amazing session today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to interacting with all of you in future. There is another security in pharma, which I've liked. I'm going to enable that and have this panelist again for that discussion. Thank you so much and have a great session ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you.